This tutorial will show you how to set up and use Google Classroom with your students. Google Classroom is a document management system that pairs with your Google Drive for Education account. Google Classroom also is a huge time saver. It will cut down on the time you spend in front of the copier and cut down on the wasted time in class used to pass out papers. Google Classroom allows teachers and students to create content digitally, to grade online, and to turn in and pass back papers with a click of a button. This video will show you how to find Google Classroom. The easiest way to get to Google Classroom is to come up to in a new screen, come up to your address bar and type in classroom.google.com. Once you've done that, you can hit return, and it will take you to the start screen for Classroom by Google. Once you've done this, you can bookmark it in your toolbar or in your other bookmarks. Another way to shortcut to Classroom is to come down here, if you're on a Chromebook, to the square made up of squares. If you're using Chrome on a PC or a Mac, there'll be the same square made of squares up here in the toolbar. And go ahead and click on that and type in Google Classroom. And click on it, and it will take you there. You can also find the app to add to your list of apps in the Google Web Store. You go ahead and click on the Chrome Web Store, and in the search bar, type in Classroom and return. And Google Classroom is here. It's free. You can go ahead and click on it and click Add, and it will pop up here into your shortcuts. I think the easiest way is to bookmark it so that all you have to do is click on the little icon. But because there are so many different ways to achieve the same goal in Google, you need to pick the one that works best for you. This tutorial will show you everything you need to know to set up and use Classroom by Google in your classroom. The first thing you need to know is that you have to have a Google for Education account. These are usually set up through your school. Right now, I'm logged into my personal account. So to change that, up here is my email address. I'm going to click on it, and you can either add an account by logging into your Classroom account or clicking on one that's already available. I'm going to go ahead and click on my education account right here, and that will open up Google Classroom. As soon as it opens, you're on a home screen, and what you'll see here is a hamburger, these 3 lines. You can click on it and it'll give you all sorts of things, and we'll get to each one of those. You also have your education account address here, a plus sign, and then any class that you've created up to this point. If you haven't created any classes, this area here will just be a blank space. The first thing you need to know is how to create a classroom. To create a classroom, you come up here to the plus sign and click on it. You have 2 choices. You can join a class or create a class. As a teacher, you're going to probably be creating a lot of classes. If you are joining another teacher's class to see what they're doing, you'll click Join a Class, and we'll show you that in the student view a little later on. Go ahead and click Create a Class, and a pop-up screen will appear. And you're going to name your class. I like to name it with the title of my class, which is English 3. And then you can also put a section. If you teach multiple periods or multiple sections of the same class, you can title that as well to make things a little easier to find. And I'm going to just put a 1 here. This is my English 3 period 1 class, and click Create. Right away, you'll be taken to the screen where everything happens. You create your assignments, you can communicate with students. But for now, I'm going to take you back with the little hamburger back to the home screen, so you can see that English 3 section 1 has popped up right here on the screen. Now, sometimes Maybe you've made a mistake. Maybe you don't teach that class anymore and you want to get rid of something. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of a class right away. Up until about a month ago, once you deleted a class, it was gone forever. Google's changed that, and now you can archive your classes. So if you teach a semester-long class, or maybe you teach a spring semester class and you won't teach it again until the next spring, you can archive these and reuse assignments. Once again, cutting down on all the work you have to do. To archive a class, you need to be on your home screen, and you choose the class that you'd like to archive. That means just file it away somewhere. It doesn't disappear. It's just away for a little while. You come up here to the 3 dots or the ice cream cone. Click, and you have 2 choices. You can rename your class. Maybe you don't like the title. You give it a new title. Or you can archive. So I'm going to click on archive. And here you get a pop-up screen. It tells you that you won't be able to make any changes. And you can review this in archive classes in the classroom menu. So I'm going to click on archive, and I'll show you where it goes in just a second. Still on our home screen, back up here at the hamburger are the 3 lines. All the way down here at the bottom, if you click on archived classes, you'll see there's our class that we archived. If you click on the 3 dots or the ice cream cone and click restore, it'll give you a pop-up screen and it will tell you that now you'll be able to interact with this class again, and it'll show on your home. So I'm going to go ahead and restore this one and show you that it'll take you right back to this is where it all happens. But I'm going to go back to my home using the hamburger, and there it is. It has popped right back up into my home screen. Once you've created your class, the first thing you need to do is have your students join that class. They can do this very simply by logging in to their Google for Education account and going to google.classroom.com, just like we did at the beginning of the video. They will be taken to a home screen that looks exactly like this. If yours is the first class they've joined, this space, of course, will be blank. They'll have a plus sign, their address here, and also the home and the hamburger. To have them join the class, there are actually 2 ways you can do it. There's one that's very simple and one that takes a little more time. It will depend on you and how you like to set things up and which way you'd like to do this. For students to join a class, they can go up here to the plus sign, click on it, and as a student account, theirs will say just join a class. They won't be able to create classes. So we're going to go ahead and have them join, and it's going to ask them to enter a class code. I'm going to show you where to find that, and I'm also going to show you the other way, the not so easy way to have students join. The very easy way is for you to click on your class, and this was my English 3 class that I created, and after students have clicked on that plus sign and asked them for the code can be found right here where it says class code. This is the home screen for English 3 where everything happens, and I'm going to take you back and show you how to find that again. So back from my home screen, I'm just going to click on the title of the class, and it'll take you right here. The class code is here, and this class code is ECSAGDS. You can write this on the board. You can put it up on your smart board. You can use your projector to project it on the wall. If you don't like your class code before anyone joins, you can actually change it by clicking on the little arrow next to it and clicking reset, and it'll give you a new one. This might be handy if there are the number 1 or the letter L or the letter I. Sometimes those can be a little confusing, especially if you have younger students. So you may want to reset that. There's actually a place where you can disable. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. I have students added to my class throughout the year, and I want them to be able to get into my class, so I'm not going to disable that class code. But you can if you need to. Students can use this once again by being on their home screen, clicking the plus, clicking join class, and typing in that code. To get an entire class into their Google Classroom and signed up for your particular class takes about 5 minutes with high school students. There are some students who may need a little help, a little personal guiding where to go. With younger students, it might take a little bit longer, making sure that everyone is in the correct place. Now I'm going to show you the not so easy way. Here I am again on my home screen, and I'm going to click onto my class. This is my English 3 class. Once again, this is where it all happens. And in this bar here, you have some choices. Stream. That's where all of your assignments will be. And then students. If you click on that, you'll get a whole list of the students who have joined your class. And I'm actually going to take you to one that actually has some students in it so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to click on this, Become a Rock Star. And this is a class that already has some assignments in it. And if I click on students, you'll notice that there are students who have already signed up for this particular class. And if you click on things like email, you can actually go to your plain local email or your Eagle Apps email or whatever your school's domain is and email that individual student. You can also invite students. By clicking on the invite button, it will take you to your contacts if you have added each of your students to that. Or you can click on directory, which I've done here, and it will take you to every person who is in your Google for Education account. You have to click on every one of your students. Now, if you have very small classes, maybe 2 classes of 20, if you teach a longer class during the day, maybe you have students for half the day and then another class comes in for another half the day if you have a specialized class. But if you're like me, you have close to 200 students. And clicking each one of those just to invite them takes a long time. To do this, your students have to have their Gmail account that's attached to their education account set up. Some of you may have that and some of you may not. Because of all those factors, the easiest way to have students join is to simply have them click that plus sign and type in your class code. And the class code for this one is SNOA11. They're all very short. They're all 6 characters. And like I said, for high school students, it takes about 5 minutes for students to join. At this point, I'd like to take you into a classroom and show you all the things that you can do to set up and get a classroom ready for students. I'm going to, at this point, go to my English 3 class, the one that I've created. And once you click on it, here it is. It defaults to this lovely purple bubble header. You can change that by coming down here into the bottom right corner of the header and clicking Change Class Theme. Once you click on it, you'll get some choices. There's no way to add your own choice at this point, but I suspect eventually you'll be able to really customize this. Google likes to give you custom choices. And there are all sorts of choices here. Choices for the arts, choices for science, a lot of science ones. There was one up here that had a book, and since this is an English class, I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. You just click on it, you'll get a little check mark in the upper right-hand corner, and you can select the class theme. Once you click on that, you'll notice that it changes your header and it changes the color of the theme. And I do like this green, it's nice and calming. So that's one of the things you can do to customize your classrooms. Some other things you can do is, here you have some choices. Right now we're in Stream, and Stream is where all of your assignments will be. This is where you'll create assignments, you'll create announcements, you can post comments. This is where you'll also find that class code we talked about. Here is a stream where you can show deleted items in the stream. I don't want anyone to see the deleted items. Those are usually my mistakes. And I'll show you what to do if you make a mistake and you need to get rid of something. So that's what happens here. And we'll talk about announcements and assignments in a little bit. I'd like to go to the About tab. If you click on About, you can set up a title and a class description. I've done this for my classes. You can type in, for this one, I'll type in English 3, and then you can maybe copy and paste the description from the course catalog, or you can write your own. You can also put the class where your class meets, the room number where your class meets. This isn't necessarily all that important. Some students will look at it, some students will never look at it. If you feel like you need everything filled in, that's what you can do here. It'll also give the teacher email, so it'll have your email address. And for you, now the students won't see this, but it will take you to your English 3 folder. Now we'll talk about folders a little later, but this is one way you can get to it. You can click save, and that information saved. Students will have access from here up. Also, if you click on students, this is where your list of students will show up. And I'm actually going to take you to a class that has students in it. And here, once again, we're in the stream. This is the meat of your class where everything, all of your assignments show up. If you click on students, you'll have a list of students. You can email them from here. You can invite more students. We've talked about that. That's maybe not the best way to get students into your class. You can also remove a student from this stream. I want to remove this student. This is me in this class. You toggle the box next to the name and then go to actions, and you can remove that student. Maybe you have a student who moves or changes classes or drops your class. Several other things you can do from this Students tab is you can choose whether or not students are allowed to post in the stream. And I'll take you back to the stream. If you notice here, there's an add a comment section. The default is that every student and teacher that are part of this class can post and comment. That means they can put a post of their own. They can make a comment on another post. This can be a little dangerous, especially if you have older students, middle school and high school. As the teacher, you can go in and moderate, take things out. I don't even like to give them the option. So by clicking on this, students can post and comment. You can change the students' ability to do things in that stream. Students can only comment, or only the teacher can post and comment. For my regular classes, for my regular English classes, I take away their ability to comment. In just a regular English class, a regular math class, that might be the best way to cut down on any silliness. Now, if you're teaching a class with adults, or maybe you're teaching a very specialized class like new staff, maybe you want your students to post, to ask questions, to comment on what other people have said. So you can leave it that way. I like to take that away so that only I, as the teacher, can comment and add posts. The last thing I'd like to show you in this student section of your classroom, once again, we're in the Students tab, and we have all of the students in the classroom listed. The last thing you can do here is you can sort your students by either first name or last name. And to do this, you click on this little gray word students, and you get 2 choices. Sort by first name or sort by last name. I currently have them sorted by last name, but I'll show you what happens when you click on sort by first name. Here we have all the Angelas at the top and Victoria and Tina at the bottom. This is really a preference. I like to sort my students by last name, and then it puts them in the same order as my grade book. So when I go to take graded work from this site and put them into my grade book, they're all in approximately the same order. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that students again. Click on sort by last name. It'll take a second. Sometimes it takes more than a second. When this is finished, we should have Andrews at the top right there and Wood at the bottom. Once you've created classes and had students join, now you'll want to add content. And you do that by entering one of your classes. I'm back in the home page, and I'm going to take you to this English 3 class that we created a little earlier. Now I'm in my English 3 class, and I'm on stream. You have 2 choices to create content. You can create an announcement, and an announcement would include anything like simple text. Maybe you want to tell your class something. It can be a YouTube video that you'd like them to watch, a survey that you've created through Google Forms, a PDF that you'd like them to simply read. Anything that has a link can be put into an announcement. You can also create an assignment. An assignment includes all of the things that I just mentioned for an announcement, as well as a Google document, a Google spreadsheet, a Google slideshow, anything that you'd like your students to add content to themselves. We're going to start out by creating an announcement. Once you click on announcement, you get this pop-up screen, and you have some things that you need to do and some things that you can do. One of the things that you need to do is type something. Title it, tell your students what they're looking at. So this is going to be the very first assignment, and I'm going to call it Welcome. You can also add any directions that you'd like to give them, such as click on the links and follow directions. All right, now that I have my title and my top information in, I'm going to want to add content. These buttons down here help you do that. The paperclip will help you add things like PDFs, Word documents, anything you have that you'd like your students just to read. The Google Drive symbol will help you add anything that you have saved into your Google Drive. Here's the YouTube button, and this is a basic link. This can help students navigate easily to a website that you want them to go to. So I'd first like to add a form that I've created. And the best and easiest way to add a form is to click on the link button, and you'll have this pop up, and it tells you here in very light letters to enter or paste a link. So I'm going to go to a Google form that I've created. Here it is. And I am going to click up here on the web address or the URL, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my classroom, and I'm going to paste that URL or web address onto that line. And then I'm going to click Add. Now nothing will come up here. It'll just say link. You'll have a generic thumbnail here. Don't worry about that. Once you post, all of these things will look real nice and pretty. I'd also like to add a YouTube video to this, just a nice welcome video. So I'm going to click the YouTube button. You'll get this pop-up screen, and you have two choices. You can either search for a video, or you can enter the URL. That's the address of the video. I'm first going to do a search for, let's say, first day of school. And let's see what pops up. Normally you get a nice selection of first day of school videos or whatever your search term is, and you can choose one of these. Most of the time, you are going to know before you even get to this point what video you'd like to use. So you're going to choose URL. It's going to give you this screen. And here, you're going to actually paste in the address of the video that you want. So I'm going to come here, and for this video, I would like my students to learn how to create columns in a Google Doc. So I'm going to click on that video. I'm going to press pause so the sound doesn't start. Once again, I'm going to come up here to the address bar. I'm going to highlight and copy. I'm going to go back to my classroom, and I'm going to paste that URL into this area. And actually, you'll get a little preview. And you can watch the video in here to make sure that that's the correct one. I'm going to click Add. If you notice here, it'll pop right up. You can also do the same thing with a Google document that you would just like them to read. Now, they won't be able to interact with it. They won't be able to make that their own, but they will be able to read things. That's great if you want students to read an article that maybe they're going to use in a class discussion. And same thing here with the attach a file or upload a file. You can use PDFs. Now, the great thing about this is if you have multiple sections of the same class, you only have to do this once. You can actually come down here. This is English 11-1. That was the first section of the class that I created. You can click on that, and it will list all of the classes that you've created. We have Test, and we have Become a Rock Star. You just toggle the box next to the title of the class, and it will add the same announcement to all of these classes, whatever classes you have toggled. I think I'm just going to add it to the test class. So I have two classes selected. Now, one thing, make sure that it's perfect. If you have to go back in and edit, which there is a way to do that, you can't edit them in a bulk situation. You have to edit them one at a time. So if I had to make a change, I would have to make it in the English 3 class and then also back in the test class. But I think I have this just how I'd like it. So I'm going to go ahead and click post. And depending on how much content you have, it may take a minute or two. And there it is, it pops up. There's my title and what I'd like students to do. And then here are my thumbnails that have popped up nice and pretty. And all your students will need to do is click on the thumbnail, and whatever website you'd like them to go to, whatever form, whatever video, pops up in a new tab. And here's that video that I entered. And I'm going to click pause here so it doesn't start playing. That's how you create an announcement. Let's take a look at creating an assignment. An assignment is where you're going to collect stuff that the students have done. And it's very similar to creating an announcement. So I'm going to go ahead and click on assignment. You get a similar pop-up box. You can title the assignment, and I'm going to call this one columns because I want my students to learn how to create columns in Google Docs. And you can put in a description of the assignment. That's optional. You can also put some directions in here. That's usually what I do. Please read the directions at the top of the page. Ooh, I need to proofread. You can go in and correct anything you need to correct. Make sure you do that before you click assign. Here you can assign a due date. I always assign the due date a little further out than the actual due date, and that depends on you, whether or not you take late work and how you handle students who have been absent or out on a field trip. If you click here, it'll give you a nice pop-up calendar. You can go ahead months, years if you need to. I'm going to go ahead just a week on this particular assignment. So I actually need to go into a new month here. I'm going to click on the 5th of February. If you'd like to give your students a time, if this is a class that maybe doesn't meet face-to-face every day, maybe you only meet once a week, you can add a time. Maybe you'd like everything to be due at 11:59 p.m. You don't have to add that time. It's just available to you. You can add the same things, PDFs, files, items from your Google Drive, YouTube videos, and any link to any website. For this one, I'm going to just attach the page that I'd like my students to work in. So it's going to come from my Google Drive. You get a pop-up box, and I'd like it to come right from my drive, and have a very nice search feature here. And I know that my page is called columns. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. If you notice, it'll pop up right here. Now, at this point, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. What do you want your students to do? Do you simply want your students to read what you've posted? If that's the case, over here in this pull-down screen, you'll click on Students Can View File. That means all they can do is read. Or students can edit the file. That means that every student who has access to this will be editing the same page. Or you can have a copy made for each student. This is the one that I use the most. This is the same concept as going to the copier, making 100 copies of a worksheet, passing it out to your students. Here, making a copy for each student will do that, but what it will do is it'll pass it out digitally into their Google Classroom account. This way, when they edit, only they are editing the page. You have to be real careful here. You don't want to accidentally click on the wrong one. However, if you do, and you show up to class and students say, oh no, we're all editing the same page, it takes just a few minutes to delete what you have, re-upload it, and make a copy for each student. So if you make a mistake on this, don't freak out. Students are very, very understanding when it comes to technology. They know that they know more than we do, and we know they know more than we do. So we just have to be calm. When the mistake comes up, correct it. So I'm going to make a copy for each student. Once you have everything the way you like it, and I'm actually going to assign this to a couple of classes. I'm going to assign this to both of these classes. I'm going to assign. Now be sure it's how you like it. If you make a mistake and you have to go back in and edit, you'll have to go to each individual class to edit. You can't do a bulk edit once it's assigned. So I'm going to go ahead and click Assign. And it takes a minute depending on how much content you've added. And here is my assignment. It tells me that the assignment's been created. And some things pop up. It tells me when I've assigned it. So if you're doing work at 3 o'clock in the morning, your students will see that. It's okay, they understand. Over here, it gives you the due date. It tells you how many students have completed the assignment and how many students have not completed the assignment. And at this point, there's no one in this class, so it hasn't been assigned to anyone. If anyone joins after the fact, after I have assigned this particular assignment will go directly into their account. So you won't have to reassign it for any students who maybe joined the class late or maybe weren't signed up for Classroom when you assigned this. Once again, you want to make sure that you give the right access. So for this one, each student is going to get a copy. The nice thing about this is Google actually will give a title to each student's assignment. It will have the title of the assignment as well as the name of the person who worked on that assignment. I think that's a great feature. That was always an issue in making sure students put their names on things so you knew whose work you were getting. You don't have to do that anymore. Google does it for you. Now let's say at some point you realize, this announcement is not what I wanted. Because here we have an announcement and up here we have an assignment. You just don't like it. You don't need it anymore. You changed your mind. Maybe it was 3 o'clock in the morning and you decided, that's not what I wanted when you wake up the next morning. So you go over here to the 3 dots or the ice cream cone, click on it, and you can delete this assignment just by clicking delete, confirming, and it goes away. We'll take a look in a little bit what this looks like for the student when we hit the student view. Once you've created your assignment, students will work on it, then they'll turn it in. So let's talk about grading. I'm going to take you to a class that has some assignments already turned in. You can do this several ways. You can go to the hamburger and click on it and click on home. And you'll see a list of all your classes, or you can pick one right out of this list here. And I know this class has some assignments already turned in. And if you notice here, I have an assignment. It was assigned on January 3rd, and it's due January 25th, and it's due April 30th, but I have 13 people who've turned it in. So you can go ahead and click on the number of assignments that are done, and it'll pop up for student work. And here you have a list of all the people who have finished that assignment. You can do quite a few things from this page. You can grade these assignments. You can email the students who have done these assignments. Maybe you just want to tell them, hey, I got your assignment. It'll be graded by such and such a date. You can only email if email has been set up for all of your students through your domain administrator. You can also go to the folder in your own personal Google Drive that's connected to this Classroom account that will also have all of these assignments listed. Just a little note, once a student turns something in, and you'll see it in the student view, there's a little turn in button, they can't fix anything else. Once they turn it in, it's yours until you return it to them. So I'm going to show you that return. Now, Google gives you a default amount of points, 100, 50, 20, and 1. Maybe this is an assignment that's ungraded. I don't know. I grade everything. If it's something that's ungraded and you just want to give them feedback, you can click ungraded. These are not your only options. This particular assignment is only worth 15 points. So to make it worth 15 points, you can go up here, highlight 100, type in 15, and click your return key. You'll get a pop-up that says update point value. You can do this at any point. Maybe you made a mistake and realized, hey, this is really supposed to be 19 points. You can change it at any time, even after you've graded assignments. Go ahead and click update, and that'll make this 15 points. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these. I'll just choose the first one. Click on the student's name, and underneath of it is their work product or the thing that they've turned into you. Click on it, and there's the assignment that this student has completed. At this point, you can go through, look at, did they do everything correctly? You can give them feedback. You can comment on things. Commenting is a really nice feature here. Up here in your toolbar, there is a comment button. If you click on it, you'll get this pop-up here. You can type in whatever feedback you'd like to give your student. A nice job. And click comment. And that comment will pop up right here. And it actually pops up in spreadsheets right over your spreadsheet. If you don't like this comment or you want to remove it, there's the ice cream cone. Click edit. You can cancel it. You can also delete it. It'll confirm and it'll get rid of that comment. We'll talk about comments later on in another video. Once you've done this, and I've already taken a look at this one, this person earned all 15 points. You go back to your classroom, and if you notice, the assignment popped up in its own tab, which is very nice. It makes navigation very simple. You click on the words no grade, and you type in the points that this student has earned, and it'll pop up here in a 15 over 15. And if you notice here, this student's score, or this student's name, the box next to it is toggled. Before you leave this page, you want to click return. Now you can grade all of these or however many you have. They'll save. Don't navigate away from this page until you click return. Once you click return, students will be notified either through email or when they open up their classroom next time. And then they will have access to work on that particular product again. Maybe one of your comments is, hey, fix this and resubmit it to me. That's completely possible in Google Classroom. But just a warning, make sure that you click this return button. Now, I don't want to return this one to this particular student just yet. So I'm going to go in and take out those points just for now. You can also add a private comment, something that only that student will see. You can give more feedback, such as please revise and return, or good job. You just click post and that comment will come up so only that student can see it. If you want to delete, same thing. You come to the ice cream cone, click delete. There's also an edit feature there as well if you need to fix a spelling mistake. Something else that you can do from this page is you can go to the Google Drive folder. All of these assignments are not only saved in your classroom, but they also get saved to whatever folder or whatever Google Drive this classroom is attached to. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It'll take you to your drive. And sometimes it takes a moment to load, and it will show you the same list of all of the students who have been assigned this particular assignment, whether they're finished or not. So you might open up one of these and see that they're blank because the student hasn't done the assignment yet. This is just a nice backup in case something gets returned or a student said, hey, I turned that in, you never graded it. This is another place where you can go to make sure that those assignments have been done. I don't use this a whole lot. I try to do everything right in Classroom. It saves a lot of clicking. Here we are back at the student assignments. There's one other spot here called instructions. And what that does is it shows you just that assignment and exactly what did you ask students to do. Maybe you're like me, grading happens a little ways down the road after students have turned things in. You can go back and read exactly your directions. Maybe your directions weren't very clear and you're noticing that students are missing the same thing every student. You can go back and realize, oh, maybe my directions weren't that clear. So that way you can check yourself against your student work. I'm going to click back on student work here. And if you notice, at this point, it shows all of the work, even students who haven't turned them in yet. The nice thing here is it shows you whether or not, it gives you a status, whether or not students are done. These 3 students have not completed this assignment yet. That's okay because it's not due. This student is done, so I can go ahead and grade that one. This one's done. And you can grade that just from this screen also. You don't have to go into those just done assignments. Let's go on back. And we're at this point going to discard the changes because we were just doing this as a demonstration. And that back arrow will take you back to your stream. Now you've learned how to set up your Google Classroom, set up classes, make assignments, make announcements, and grading. There are last few things I'd like to tell you, last few little tricks. In the grading, once you've graded assignments and you have them all here listed, you can do a couple of things. You can open your grade book and maybe do a split screen and enter them into whatever grade book your school uses. You can also download these grades, and I'm actually going to give this first one a grade again to show you what that looks like. It says download here. You can download this assignment or all assignments, and what it will give you is a CSV file, which is like a spreadsheet, and it has each assignment, the student's name, and the grade that they were awarded. Sometimes it takes a moment for it to pop up. Here we go. It tells you if they're done and comments. Once again, that's one I haven't used very often. I simply do a split screen or I just transfer grades over. I know there are a lot of teachers who use Classroom to collect assignments and never actually use this grading feature. That's up to you. I like to use it. It keeps me organized. Some teachers don't use it at all. They look at the assignment, they figure the grade, and they put it right into their grade book. They have their grade book open up in another tab. So that's just a little, some ideas for how you can handle grading with Google Classroom. I'm going to discard all these changes and take you back home so we can look at just a couple more things. Each of the classes that are listed on the home screen have a file folder icon in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of those just to show you where that takes you. And it's going to take you into your Google Drive. And usually it takes a minute to load. And it will show you, it will have a folder for every assignment that you've created in that class. It'll have the templates and it says do not edit. Don't open it. Those are the templates that Classroom has created to pass out to the students. Here, it'll give you everything that was assigned and all of the assignments for each of those students, whether they're done or not. And also here, this was just an announcement, and it'll have a file for that. Sometimes these are populated if you've put like a PDF or any kind of Google Doc in them. It's just another way to keep you organized. This is a feature that I haven't used very often, but it's there as a backup. One other thing I'd like to show you is down here, and it's in the bottom of every screen, so either in the stream or in the student or on this home screen, it's a question mark, and it has some choices. What's new, send feedback, ask a question, or get help. This is where you go if you just don't know what to do. If there's no one in your building or no one near your classroom who can help you with Classroom, you can click on one of these. I'm going to click on, well, actually, I'll tell you about what's new. Every time that there's an upgrade or something changed in Google Classroom, they add it to a page and it shows you by date what's been added. And if you go back to your classroom and click on that again, you can send feedback. That's if you feel something isn't working correctly or if you have a suggestion of something you'd like to see in Google Classroom. The people at Google really do look at those. Archiving classes, which I showed you at the beginning of the video, was something that I sent as a piece of feedback, and I know there were lots of teachers who added that one as well. And Google must have gotten enough responses that say, hey, we'd like to just archive a class instead of deleting it completely, that they actually made that a feature. So if there's something you'd like to see, put it in there. Google does listen. You can click on Ask a Question, and that will take you to Google Groups. This is like a forum or a bulletin board where you can ask a question and get answers from other classroom users. Google has a huge community of forums, a huge community of users. And if you look, there are just hundreds of questions that have been asked. You might be able to find your question in here. You can search the topics, something you're having trouble with, or if you just like an idea on how to use Classroom effectively in your room. I'm going to go back to Classroom, and I'm going to click on that question mark one last time. You can click on Get Help, and it'll open up another tab. and it'll take you to the Welcome to the Google Classroom Help Center page. And it's pretty much a facts page. It gives all the frequently asked questions and tips and tricks that you can use. So if this video wasn't enough, this is another great resource for helping you use Google Classroom. The last thing I'd like to show you is settings. So I'm going to go to the hamburger one last time, and I have my list of classes here. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom to settings. You can add a picture of yourself if you'd like. And there's only one thing in here, and it's notifications. And it says send email notifications. What this will do is every time a student turns in an assignment, it will send an email to your Gmail account, the one that's attached to this classroom account. I would suggest making sure that there's no check mark in the box. If you have large class sizes, maybe you have 150, 200 students on your roster, every time a student turns something in, you'll get an email about it. I had it toggled for quite some time and realized that it was just clogging up my Gmail. If you have large classes and you're going to start using Google Classroom a lot for your class, you will not need to have this toggled. So my suggestion is that you untoggle that. Other than that, we are done with the teacher view of Google Classroom. Next, we're going to take a look at the student view. Let's take a look at the student view of Classroom. Students get to Classroom the same way that you did, by going to classroom.google.com here in the address bar. They will be taken to a page that looks like this. Down here where mine says sorry, they will have a choice. It'll say I am a teacher or I am a student. You have to make sure that they click on I am a student. They'll only need to do this the very first time that they log into Classroom. If a student accidentally or accidentally on purpose clicks on I am a teacher, please let your domain administrator know that a student has done this so that they can change your access. If you're not sure who your domain administrator is, contact someone in your tech department. I'm going to take you to a class that I am a student in so that we can take a look at what your students see. I always like to know what my students are seeing, so if they have questions, I can answer them. And if you notice, once Google Classroom pops up, it's going to look almost exactly like yours. And here's the class that I am a student in. Your students will have the same thing. They're going to have this plus sign right next to their username. The plus sign will give them just a join, and that join works in the exact same way that we did at the beginning of the video. I'm going to go ahead and click on this class. If you notice that the assignment that we created earlier is right here. Some things look a little bit different in this stream. Because we took away the student's ability to comment or post, that post area that we had as a teacher has been removed. Once again, I highly suggest that you take that away. Students, well, they'll get away with what they think they can get away with, so they'll try to put anything in there. It'll save you a lot of heartache in the long run. From this point, a student can click on a thumbnail to be taken to whatever piece of content you've added. I'm going to go back to Classroom. Here's a video that was added by the teacher. Students can watch it. I'm going to go back. Then there was also in this assignment a work product, something that I wanted them to get in and edit to add their own content. To get to that, they're going to click on this open button. This is new. If you have been using Google Classroom up through December of 2014, this is something new that you might have to tell your students, hey, you have to click the open button now. Once you click the open button, you'll find, as a student, the assignment with the title and their name. That's how this assignment will be identified in your teacher account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Oh, and I'm logged into quite a few other places. So I am going to sign out here and sign back in so we can actually look at it. This happens if you have quite a few different Google accounts. I have my school account, I have my personal account, I have the account that I use to make these videos and do online classes. So sometimes you might have to jog around and get into the correct account to see things. And the spreadsheet will open up. At this point, the student will do whatever they've been asked to do into this assignment, and the directions for this one are down here at the bottom. Once they've finished and they've made all of their changes, they're going to go back to Classroom and click Turn In. It will ask them if they want to add a private comment to the teacher, which they can. Sometimes students will say, hey, did you get this? Or, hey, can you just look at this and tell me what I need to fix? I've had quite a few students use that, and they use this without me having to give them any type of prompting. They kind of found that on their own. And then they click Turn In. Once they've done that, they have no more access to this. They don't have access to it until one of two things happens. One, you grade it and return it. Or they can actually grab it back. Maybe they think, oh, I forgot to do something. If they click this Unsubmit button, they can unsubmit it, and it will bring that assignment back so that they can take a look at it again, maybe fix something, add something they forgot, or maybe just take one last look at it before they do the final turn in. To turn it back in, they just click the Turn In button, go through that process again. You may ask your students to create something from scratch. They can do this from this screen as well. They can click Create, and they can create any one of these four things: a document, a presentation, a spreadsheet, or a drawing. This is great if you're having students write papers. You might want them to start with a blank page. So from here, they can create a document, and a document's been created, and it's right here. And what it does is it titles it whatever your original assignment was, and it puts the student name on it. And if you click on it, it will take you to a blank Google document. And from here, students can write an essay, they can make an outline, whatever you want them to do in this document. All right, now that we've seen how students turn in work, they can go to instructions, back to the instructions. Maybe they're not sure exactly what you were asking for. They can read through just that assignment again, just like the teacher can. It also gives them the due date and the date that it was assigned. Students also have this help button, and it has exactly the same things that you had as a teacher. Students can give feedback. Maybe they have a great idea for something that should be in Google Classroom that isn't. Maybe they need to get help. They can click right here on the Get Help button and go to that Google page, that Google Facts page that has all things Google on it. I'm going to take this back to our class page and show you a couple of other things. If students click on the About button, this will take them to any information that you put in about the class. It'll show the teacher email address if they'd like to email you a question. It'll take them to a folder on their drive that has all the work they've created for this particular class. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and show you what that looks like. So any assignment that they've completed or any assignment that they've worked on, anything that's still even blank, maybe they haven't started it yet, will show up in this folder. And if you notice, I have two assignments. This is the one that I just created, the blank page, and this is the spreadsheet that I worked in. This is really nice for students if they get home and they forget how to get into Classroom, but they know how to get into their drive. They can go in and work on things really from anywhere. All right, back into Classroom. The last thing I want to show you is Classmates. Now in this teacher view, this said students. Classmates here shows everyone who's in the class with that student. They can also email. If email has been set up for your students, they can email back and forth. That sometimes is a problem for some schools. Maybe they're worried about cyberbullying. If this isn't set up, students won't be able to click on these. If it is set up for students, then These things are all archived and saved so that if there is a problem, something that you might be worried about, maybe somebody's sending someone harassing or unwanted emails, everything is archived and saved. You just need to contact your domain administrator to retrieve those things. This is definitely something that you're going to want to talk to your administrator and your tech team about to make a decision on whether or not students have access to email. Students also have this students button just like teachers did. They can sort their classmates by first name or last name just like we did. And right now they're sorted by last name. I'm going to sort them by first name. And once again, they pop up into the new order. Students also have this hamburger just like the teachers did. And it will show all the classes that they have joined. Maybe all of their teachers are using Classroom, and they can navigate right from here. Students can also archive their classes, just like we did. Maybe next year, when they aren't in that class anymore, they can click the archived button. Things won't go away, but they'll just go away from the home screen. Now that you've seen both the teacher view and the student view of Google Classroom, my suggestion is jump in and start using it. If you're a little scared, maybe technology isn't your thing, don't worry. Students tend to be very forgiving when you're using a new piece of technology in class, and a lot of times they jump in and try to help. Students have figured out all sorts of things for me that I didn't know how to do originally. They've figured it out and told me. They love nothing better than telling us how to do something new. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment stream below the video. This tutorial showed you how to use Google Classroom.